AI has quickly become one of the biggest talking points in logistics. But beyond all the hype, warehouse operations are asking a much simpler question, namely, how can AI actually help me run a better operation? In previous episodes of Logistics Business Conversations, we've explored the different ways AI can support warehouse execution. The technology is evolving rapidly, but so too are the questions around trust, implementation, and return on investment. Today, we're taking that conversation a step further. Joining me is Ben Glossup, Vice President of Sales at Aptean. We'll be discussing how AI is moving beyond theory and into day-to-day warehouse and transport operations, what businesses should realistically expect from it today, and how they can embrace it fearlessly. If you've ever wondered how AI is genuinely transforming the logistics landscape, then this conversation is for you.
Welcome to Logistics Business Conversations, the podcast exploring the ideas and insights shaping today's logistics industry. Featuring leading voices from across the sector, we examine key trends, emerging challenges, and the innovations driving the future of supply chains.
So, hello Ben, welcome to Logistics Business Conversations.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the phrase fearless AI, I find that a very interesting one. Why do you think so many warehouse transport operators are still apprehensive around the whole area of AI?
I don't think it's just transport and warehouse operators.
Uh-huh.
I think we're all in that boat a little bit. The way AI has been presented to the masses and the way the press and have presented the AI revolution, I think it's got us all a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
You know, people of a certain age, I think, when things like this happen and when the next revolution comes along, we are ingrained as humans to fear change. Where we're trying to get to here is, and I use the revolution phrase, I think it's evolution. I think, our systems aren't changing overnight or transforming overnight. It's the same solution. It's the same value statements. It's the same problems that we're trying to solve. We're just utilizing this new technology to make everyone's life easier.
Bit like breeds of dogs or categories of cars, there are sort of various strains of AI. So would a warehouse operator sort of really need to understand that fully to, there's distinctions between the types of AI there is out there, or should they just simply focus on the outcomes they could achieve from them?
Absolutely. And I'm doing a talk this afternoon where I start off pointing out that I am neither an expert or an evangelist or anything close. I'm if we're being generous, middle-aged guy, desperately trying to hang on to the coattails. It's actually making our lives much simpler. When you're looking at our transport management solutions and our warehouse solutions, the data is there. It's been there for a very long time. And I think one element of the use of the AI is really opening that up to everyone. You don't have to now know the intricacies of your warehouse operation to interact with it. You just speak to it as if you're speaking to a human being, and it brings you back what you're asking for. So far from being scared of this new evolution, I think it will actually make all of these systems far easier for Luddites like me to interact with. You don't need to be a coder. You don't need to be a technically minded person. You just need to know what you want to know and when you want to know it and ask the solution the question.
I guess we're probably harnessing its power without even knowing it quite a lot of the time. As you say, it's sort of nothing's really changed on the front end.
It's not, like I say, it's not a revolution. We've been using AI for a very long time, and a lot of things that we've been using for a long time are now AI powered, like car navigation. Is that AI?
I guess it's learning as it goes along.
Absolutely.
So yeah, why the hell not?
And if you're anything like me, when I'm old enough to have been a traveling salesman when we didn't have, and we had A to Zs in the glove box, as soon as the car started telling me the way to go, my first instinct was, I can be that. But now we don't get in the car without turning it on and trusting the information that we're getting about the traffic and all those sort of things. The horse has bolted.
It's a tool that we're using.
Absolutely. The genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
We can either, and going back to why we're calling it the fearless, we need to get on board with this. If organizations and companies don't get on board with this, they're going to be standing still while others are moving forward.
Like Kodak and digital cameras.
There is a little
Perhaps.
bit of that.
What about some of the opportunities that lay ahead for deployment of AI? We feel like we're at the beginning of the evolution here. I'm not going to use the R word. So, where are we going to be seeing its greatest impact?
Yeah, I think there's three real areas, certainly when you talk about our solutions. The first one is exactly that, which is that we've spoken about there, is the ability to interrogate your solution in a much more native, normal environment and using normal language. And the other great ability of this is we have a warehouse management system, we have a TMS system, we have an ERP system, we have a CRM system. The ability to consolidate all that data and ask questions of all those systems rather than having to run around a warehouse or an office going to the expert in that field or the expert in that field. It's the ability to share that knowledge and understand that knowledge and interact with that knowledge in the fraction of a second. The next tool, and a good example, is our solution called Paragon, which has been around for a very long time, the routing and scheduling product. Historically, to get the best out of that solution, you had to be a pretty good user. Okay, you could get an answer out of it, but someone with a little bit of the dark arts would get, that extra couple of % out of it by playing with the settings. You don't need that now. You just talk to it. You just ask Paragon, how can I improve that schedule? How can I fit that unrouted call in? How can I make this operation better? So it's opening up the technical capabilities of the solution to a much wider business. And then the third bit is, and I'm sure you've heard about this on other calls, is the sort of the digital worker piece, the agentic AI.
Yes.
Which is taking the mundane, the processes that we all do every day in everyone's company, reading an email, creating an order, simple things that we can now harness the power of the AI to take those mundane tasks that takes hours and days of someone's time currently and doing it in the blink of an eye and managing that whole process. We've got a good example at the moment where one of our companies gets somewhere in the region of 60 to 70 emails a day from the customer site saying, can I change my time window?
Yeah.
And at the moment, someone reads the email, understands the email, checks the customer, goes into Paragon, looks at the schedule and says, oh, yeah, that time window change is fine. Yes, Mr. Customer, you can. We're looking at an agent that will actually read all those emails, interrogate Paragon, email back to the customer with absolutely no interaction at all, apart from, the 2 or 3 that are the, can I have it at midnight on Sunday?
There always needs to be human intervention.
Absolutely.
At some point.
But it's working from the reactive to the proactive and using, we're always going to need this. We're always going to need the human brain to make the difficult decisions. How can we free up the humans to make those difficult decisions rather than just running around, putting out fires here and there and dealing with that? What of those mundane tasks can we take and then enable the human brain to be doing the difficult bits?
Well, then putting out fires is also something that AI could be very adept at. For example, supply chain logistics, it works so much better when everything is predictable and can be anticipated. But of course, it's full of unexpected events, whether that's in a warehouse, a missed delivery or some sort of mechanical or similar breakdown. There's even geopolitical out there in the wider world.
There's always something to go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's, as you say, the beauty of the power of this technology is the predicting that. And if this has happened before, and if a set of circumstances have happened that enable us to predict these things, then let's use that. And let's, like I say, let's free up people to react to those really obscure events or the really challenging events by taking the mundane processes out of the workflow.
I guess there's also a balance there, Ben, between AI making recommendations and then AI just making decisions.
Absolutely. So where we are currently is at the insight level. As opposed to, again, going back to my roots in the Paragon world, a transport manager coming in the morning and reviewing his dashboards from the day before and understanding what went wrong and what went right. And we're creating workspaces now so that the transport manager can come in and he will just have 5 points. This didn't work very well yesterday. This delivery was really late and that customer was upset last week. You probably want to do something about that. So it's again, taking the vast amount of information we have and fine tuning it to what actually needs to be actioned, subsequently making it much more palatable.
allowing the operator or the human being at that point to intervene where it really, really makes a difference. where it really matters, without the noise of stuff that can just get rescheduled.
Absolutely. And if we're changing a time window and it's adding £5 to the daily costs, and the user has said yes 20 times, why are we asking?
Yeah.
So that is the evolution. That's the learning
Yes.
of the AI. If we're saying yes to these decisions all the time, then let's enable the AI to make those decisions. And slowly the decisions that are made automatically will increase and increase and increase. Part of the fearless bit is the human brain trusting.
Trust. It does, it can be considered a barrier to adoption. You're handing over a lot of data to effectively an unknown third party. There's a lot of fears out there that are often malicious and spread about how that data can get used or misused or abused, used against you. So how do you convince businesses or customers to become reliable on AI? Yes, you can trust it. Honestly, you can.
So none of their data goes anywhere other than within their systems. It's learning from them. It's not, with a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Copilot. It's not learning from the world. It's learning from them. So it's learning their decisions, their processes, and the data is still in the same place that it always was. And obviously we have all the security and data protection protocols in place to make sure that no one's falling foul of any of those legalities. The data is used in the same way that it always was. We're just using the power of AI to harvest it and interact with it and understand it in the blink of an eye rather than a week's project.
Yes. How much of implementation involves change management? Is that I normally associate change management with maybe step changes within an organization, but AI seems to be coming in a more graduated fashion. Is there a need for change management?
Every organization is different.
Yeah.
And every discussion that we are having currently is very different, depending a lot on obviously the operation, but who you're having the discussion with. Okay. So some operations people are naturally defensive. They've set up their operations. They're very happy with their operations. It's their baby.
Yeah.
Possibly
Get a bit territorial around it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Perfectly natural.
Gentlemen
we all
of
do
a
it.
certain age, perhaps.
We all do it. Or if you're talking to the chief digital transformation officer, maybe you've got more of an open
and possibly like a champion within the business.
Absolutely. So it's about gaining the trust from the operational people that we're not trying to steal anyone's dinner, whilst meeting all the goals that the board and the C-suite will be having around integrating AI into their businesses.
Is there a sort of like a do's and don'ts around AI implementation? Or can we say are there common mistakes that should be avoided or certain practices that must be adopted?
I think it's the same processes that we've always used. Is talk to each other, have a good project plan, look at that project plan very regularly and evaluate whether that project plan is working. Look at the results, look at the audit, look at how people are embracing it. Look at the challenges all the time and learn and grow and adopt in a manner that is appropriate for your organization and your operation. There's no right or wrong here. In the talks I've been giving, anyone that says they know where this is going to be in a year's time, let alone 10 years' time, is probably an idiot or a liar,
It's interesting because I'm going to ask you that question at the end.
Yeah, we don't know.
I don't want you to be either of those things that you just said.
Well, we just need to work together on these operations. We need to trust each other.
I've used this expression before on logistics business conversations. Bad data creates bad outcomes when we're talking about AI. So how do you, when you're engaging with a customer, how do you ensure they've got good data? How can you help them improve that side of things so their inputs are of a higher quality?
Again, this isn't a new problem.
No, it's probably not a digital problem either.
Any system, any solution, if you're putting garbage in, you're getting garbage out. And it's the same with AI. We're all interacting with AI on our personal lives now. And I'm sure we've all asked questions and the answer that's come back has been incorrect. And that's because the internet can be populated with whatever information you want it to be populated with. So again, it's just cleanliness of data. And again, one of these, when we're talking about freeing up people to be able to do productive things rather than reactive things, that is another process that can be emphasis. Looking at the way we do things from up here rather than down here, dealing with the daily struggles and the daily. But if that data is not there, then absolutely the results you're going to get are those.
Right. So AI can't sort of rescue a situation. I guess it would just sort of hurry you to a bad outcome faster.
It will certainly give poorer answers and poorer results. To your point there, the AI can certainly be used to highlight those areas of data discrepancy or data challenges. So there is also the ability there, agents-wise, to use the AI to clean up our data.
Right.
Okay. Again, not perfect off the bat and needs discussion around the individual operation, but this is a huge processing tool. So using it to review data, to review how we're capturing data, to review what that's showing, that is part of the intuitive process.
It seems strange, Ben, me asking you this question, because it's almost unimaginable that there are warehouse operatives walking around with clipboards, and that feels a world away from the warehouse and the transport sector that you're describing with me just now. So where would you say a business can start with the journey? Where can the greatest gains? I guess it's all about ROI, and I guess probably no two businesses are alike. So forgive me if the question's very broad, but where have you seen the greatest gains made from the business starting from maybe 0.0?
The value isn't exactly the same way as all the systems that we provide now. This is not new value. This is not new return on investment. It's just providing the ability to do it in a far better way. The individual operations, they just need to embrace. When we're starting this conversation with our customers, what are the bottlenecks? What are the challenges? When you go into a board meeting or a senior leadership meeting, what are the 4 things that are on the wall that are being screamed about?
Week in, week out.
Costing you money, setting your customers, all those sort of things. Now, will we be able to help with all of those things? No, of course not. But those are the ones that we need to start with, because those are the problems in the business. Those are the challenges. Those are the pain points. And it's highly likely that we can integrate these solutions in there with using the digital workers, with using the agents to streamline a lot of those processes. To your point about the clipboard, my chief executive officer has a wonderful picture about AI. And obviously we've got lots of different strings to our bows and ERP and all these sort of solutions around the world. And I do sometimes sit and look at it and say, yeah, that was brilliant. You've not walked around many warehouses with a whiteboard on the board and Post-it notes slapped on it and clipboards. And so come on the journey. We're not going to change everything overnight. This is not going to be a revolution. It's going to be an evolution. Going to have to get on board. You're going to have to trust it. That might be very small steps to start with, but small steps build up.
They may not even know that AI is becoming a part of their operations. Ultimately, you'll be saying to them, yes, we can help you relieve the stresses on these areas. We can wipe a few of those lines off your whiteboard.
Absolutely.
In the boardroom.
Let's take those.
Rely on us to find a way to do that in a way that you don't really need to know about.
Well, and when you're talking about return on investments, the problem will go away. So it will just be in the bottom line. It will just be in the bottom line KPIs. You're not failing deliveries. You're not running out of products. You've not got God knows how many thousand customer service calls coming in.
Yeah.
It's an evolution into a world where problems are being taken away from the processes. When a problem happens now in an organization, a dashboard turns red or an alarm goes off or whatever way they see a challenge coming or happening, that generates a meeting and that generates an action plan, generates a new process. We're taking that completely out of the workflow, out of the day-to-day operations by predicting and dealing with that challenge even before it becomes a challenge. That's the key.
Somehow reminded of a story that about 100 years ago, they wanted to shut down the New York Patent Office. Someone believed that everything that was ever going to be invented had been invented. That's very naive. I just wonder how naive we are today when we look back, 10 years, 15 years from now, when we thought we were along the AI journey, but we realized we were really just at the very first step.
Absolutely. I'm not sure anyone knows.
No.
That's part of the trust. That's part of small steps. That's part of building trust within the business and helping people on a day-to-day basis. And if you're making people's lives easier, you're making organizations more profitable, then the adoption will inevitably
Absolutely.
increase.
The question I like to ask is, human being, no matter how far we project into the future, we still cling on to the fact or hope that human beings still be very much a part of the decision making, of the execution of operations. The whole idea of AI replacing jobs feels like a conversation we should have parked 5 years ago.
It's a little bit of the point I made about the start, about a little bit of the scaremongering around it and
Mhm.
the terminology and the way it's being presented. Again, we're taking away the mundane, we're taking away the routine, and allowing the humans to actually progress in their roles and make better decisions, make the difficult decisions, make the decisions that actually really make a difference to the business, rather than just box ticking or entering a field.
So it feels like we're in a very purple patch at the moment where adopters of the technology possibly gain a good competitive advantage by being cutting edge.
Absolutely. We don't know the answer to all of this. Come with us. What's the challenge? What's the problem?
Mhm.
How do we solve that? How do we integrate between your systems? How do we remove these mundane tasks? It's not easy sometimes when a salesman walks into an organization, to be open and too honest, but that's what's required. An open and honest communication as to how we help you and how we build this together. And inevitably, the people that start having those conversations earlier are going to be the ones reaping the rewards sooner.
I'm going to turn that previous question on its head now and say or propose that not adopting AI could be considered a competitive disadvantage. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I don't think it's even a question anymore. The horse is bolted, the jimmy's at the bottom.
Mhm.
If you're not using this in some way in your business, you are standing still while your competitors are progressing.
Now, earlier on, you referenced you if you try to predict what the future holds, you were going to be, what was it, an idiot or
An idiot or a liar. If you're sat here saying you know what's going to happen, because we
Yeah.
don't.
All right. So
Yeah.
imagine that you can project forward in some way or another. Don't have the logistics business conversations crystal ball present with us today. But were I to have it with us, where do you see the trajectory going? I'm not going to sort of come back in 10 years and say, look, you said this and you're a liar and an idiot. I promise you that, Ben.
What's next in logistics? We're asking the experts. In our Crystal Ball segment, industry leaders share their predictions for the future.
I think it's a move away from the traditional silos that we have in our business. So an ERP system, a CRM system, an order management system, a TMS system, a WMS system. These systems will be in place, but I think the overlying architecture above that will be an integration platform that interacts with all of them. And when you're asking a question, you don't know that you're asking it of the warehouse management system or the transport management system or the ERP. You're talking to the platform, you're asking it a question, and it's coming back with an answer. So the data will be where the data is,
Yes.
but the interaction and the user interaction will be very different. And we have this capability now. You will be asking your phone a question and it will be coming back with the answer for you. Will you know that came from that database or that database or that report? No.
It's complete visibility from the point of origin or production right through to the point of consumption.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, is that tomorrow?
Well, it's certainly not idiotic in terms of your,
I don't think I've set too big.
I don't think you have. No, I don't think anyone's going to hold you to task. So Ben, just to finish off, then, I know it's probably again a bit of a broad question, but if there's a piece of advice you can give to logistics businesses that are still just holding back a little bit about jumping on the AI bus, what would that bit of advice be? What would you say to them?
I think I've said it before. Just come with us.
Mm-hmm.
Be open and honest about your challenges, and let's find solutions together. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be perfect, but we need to start this process. We need to come on board. There is good functionality there now that's providing benefits as we speak, but with the tip of the iceberg.
Ben, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a great pleasure talking about this fascinating subject. You've somehow managed to create a whole new set of ideas and thoughts about it. It got me really thinking. Thank you very much indeed.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time.